You may have heard of the Jelly Roll race. Well, this is Jelly Roll Race 2. Hi, this is Jenny from the Missouri Star Quilt Company, and today we are filming the Jelly Roll Race 2 video. So one day this lady came into my shop and she said she had seen the Jelly Roll race. Now if you haven't seen that, check in the description below because it's a lot of fun and it's a great quilt. But she added a little special touch. She made it out of batiks, and in between every strip, instead of sewing it diagonally, she put a little square block. So she had these batik quilt with these pops of black blocks that were popping up all over, just like on the back of this one, only we've used white. And the Jelly Roll we've used today is called April Showers, and it's by Bonnie and Camille, and it's just beautiful. I mean, it's just really a fun Jelly Roll race. The fun thing about these quilts is that they are awesome basic quilts that you can do all kinds of fun things to and use them, and they're great with any fabric. So the hardest thing about the Jelly Roll race is opening this Jelly Roll. All of us have lots of these Jelly Rolls. We love them, but they're so cute. And once you open them, they never go back. So we are going to talk you through that very carefully. You just peel off the ribbon. The rubber band comes with it. And there you have it. Painless. It just came right off. So here we have the Jelly Roll, and we are going to unwrap this just like it was wrapped up. When you go to sew your Jelly Roll race together, you want to leave all your colors in the same spots. Because if you're like me and you get crazy and you don't want your colors to touch, and you put your red one here and a red one, you sew it way on the tail end, when you bring those back together, they line right up. So we want to sew these together exactly as they come off. So today, to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to take our first Jelly Roll strip right here, and we are going to cut 18 inches off of that. Let me move this so you can see this a little better. And it doesn't have to be exact. It has to be on one side of the fold or the other. The reason we do that is because if you leave your Jelly Roll strip straight, then all your squares are going to end up on the sides like this. And so we don't want that to happen. We want them to move around and pop a little bit. So I'm just going to measure about 18 inches and cut a piece off. So once you're done cutting your 18 inches, the only other thing I like to do is I like to cut off my selvages. And you can do that with a scissor, like this, which I like to do a little stack of them and just do it, because you really don't want to get them out of order. So I just kind of take them and randomly just, give a little cut off these selvages. You can do it with your rotary cutter, or you can do it with some scissors, because I don't want to get those the white pieces or the words. I just don't want to have to worry about that when I'm sewing. So I'm just going to cut these off like this. Okay, so then once you're done with cutting off all your selvages, you're going to make sure you have a pile of 2.5-inch squares, because that's what we're going to set in between every strip. So then we're going to just go head over to the sewing machine and start sewing. So I'm going to gather up my stuff, and I'm going to bring all this stuff over here. And I like to just have it sit next to me, because you're just going to sew one to the next to the next. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my 2.5-inch square on top, and I'm going to sew my square to it. Then I'm going to pull this out and open it up, and then I'm just going to attach the next strip. So make sure they're right sides together. That one almost wasn't. Some of those white on whites are a little hard. Okay, so now you don't even have to take it out. You just get the end of your strip, make sure it's right sides together, and you're going to put another strip on there. Then you need to clip that, and you'll just pop those two. So every 2 strips you're going to be able to chain piece through. And here's another one. And then I'm going to grab the end and bring it up here and attach another block. Then I'll pull these out, get my strings off of here. There we go. And then I'm going to open up my block right here and attach another strip. And we're just going to keep doing this until we've sewn all of them together, end to end to end. This is going to give you a little more than 1,600 inches of jelly roll strip. It's a lot of little strip. And so we just keep putting our little squares on there, and we keep sewing them together. Open it up, attach the next one. This is one of those quilts that you just can't mess it up. It's just so adorable. You know, I actually have one that I like to show people because I was so crazy about the colors not touching that I put them all over the place, and a lot of the colors meet up, but still it's cute. I mean, you really can't make a mistake with this. This one is really fun. All right, so you're going to keep sewing until you get your entire jelly roll, the whole jelly roll sewn together with little squares in between each strip set like this. I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to show you then how we go on to the next part. So you're going to pretend that I just kept on sewing and sewed all these together. So then you have this long strip like this. See how long this is? I mean, it's just, and this is just from a few on the top, and you're going to have tons more than this. You're going to have a giant pile sitting next to you. So what you're going to do is you're going to find your very last strip out here, and you're going to put it together, right sides together, just like this, and you're going to sew 1/4 inch down one side. Now you can take some time and make sure that there are no folds in your jelly roll strip, but I'm one of those who just likes to get it done quick, so I'm just going to go ahead and sew this down, because when you get to the end, sometimes you're going to have a fold, especially if you're like me and you're in a hurry. So we're just going to let this sew and sew these two right sides together just like this. I don't really worry about which way the seams are ironed on these because I'm just sewing along, and some of the squares are going to be on the bottom and some are going to be on the top. But if I see one, I will, you know, if I'm coming up to one, I will make sure it's laid down to the dark side. So you can see I'm almost to the end of this, and you can see there's a little fold in here like this, and I did that on purpose because lots of times we get to the end and there's a little fold, but I wanted to show you that I just grab my scissors and I just pull it out and I just cut, and then I lay it flat so that it will lay together completely flat. You're probably almost always going to have a little fold at the end of yours unless you really painstakingly take the time to go along and make sure there's no folds. I'd rather just cut the little fold at the end. So then you have these two strips right here that are sewn together, and there's two. And what I do next is, like if I cut the fold like this and it's a little bit different, I'll take a minute and trim that. But you can trim at the end too if you'd like. But then what you do is you're going to grab your end again, and you're going to bring it up to the first, and you're going to lay them together like this, and you're going to sew them right sides together. And you're going to keep doing this. So you're going to have 4 together, then you're going to sew 8 together, then you're going to sew 16 together, and you're going to be done with this quilt. So let's go ahead and sew these 2 together again. This will give us 4, and you can iron it open if you want. It's, you know, this is just one of those quilts that's really, really easy to do because it's all kind of whatever you want to do. I like to iron it at the end, and then I make all my ironing seams go the same direction. So now here I am at the end of this, and I'm going to go ahead and cut that fold, and you're just going to keep sewing. So we're almost at the end of these 2 of the rows of 2s that are sewn together, and we're ready to sew 4. So let me come over here. Let me get this off of here, right here. we're going to open this up and see how we have 4 together. And then you're going to bring your end again all the way up here. And of course, I would have sewn all my strips together. This is going to be much bigger when you're doing it at home. But I'm just showing you this so you can do it. So then you're going to sew this together. You'll cut your end again and sew it one more time, and you're going to have a finished quilt. It is just awesome. So let's take a look at this one behind me. You can see that, I mean, the colors are nicely spread out throughout the whole quilt, and the blocks just pop randomly all over the place. So for this quilt we used 1 jelly roll, about a yard of white will make all your squares, and this first border. And this second border is about 4 inches wide, so we're going to do 8 strips around, so a yard will also make your outer border. So we hope you enjoyed this tutorial on the second edition of the Jelly Roll Race from the Missouri Star Quilt Company. But this is the Jelly Roll Race 2. So grab your jelly rolls and let's get to it.
Wait a second, I wasn't expecting the headlights.
What do you want?